Oh, hey everyone. I'm back from Texas. And coming back from Texas, I feel like I came back the size of Texas. I ate a lot. I ate a lot of food over there. But you know what? It was worth it. It was a culinary delight for me. Tried a lot of different food, delicious. But you know what? When I came back home, I was having a hard time trying to get back into the whole creative mode. I couldn't switch out. My brain didn't want to come back. It was still dicking around, you know? And that made me think about our show and a topic for tonight's show, which is the creative process. Does one need like inspiration to create? Is it all about just sitting down and just cranking it out? And I wanted to bring a first timer to talk about this subject tonight. But before we get started, please remember to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to catch the latest episodes of Casually Christian, presented by Livestream My Event. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, tonight joining us is Philip Victor. He's an award-winning comic book writer. I think in 2009 you won an award, right, in Mexico City.
Yes, in 2008, yeah, I won the Silver Pen Award at the Utopia Comic Con.
There you go.
And yeah, that was for my writing for Scarlet Fox and Soul Assassin. I got a copy of Scarlet Fox right here, actually. This was right here. Was my first comic book that I wrote, and it was illustrated by an artist out of Korea named Tae Kim, and I self-published that one, as well as this one as my second comic book, Soul Assassin.
I remember seeing that in 2013. You were like selling that book too, right?
That's right, at the Latino Comic Con. Yeah. This one I wrote it, and it was illustrated by Philip Barraza, who actually won an Emmy Award for his character design work on the Young Justice animated series.
That's super sick, man. How do you meet him?
I got invited down to a con in Mexico City in 2008, and I had a great time there. I was selling my books there. I met so many talented artists that I actually wound up working with on future comic books.
Yeah, you were networking, man.
Definitely.
How is it different, networking over there in Mexico? Like, were you received well? I mean, you won an award. Of course you were received well.
You know what? I was received very well. And it was great just to be around people of my culture, because I'm Hispanic. I'm of Puerto Rican descent. And it was just nice really being around people like me who were involved in creating comic books and being creative and artistic and whatnot. So it was great. I was welcomed with open arms and treated really nicely by the fans as well as the organizers. It was organized by Kaboom Studios, which was led by Oscar Gonzalez Loyo and his crew, and they treated me real great. It was a great experience.
And who's Oscar?
You know what? He's an artist. Well, he was an artist in Mexico City who had a comic book called Karmatron, but he passed away recently. And but he left behind himself a legacy of comic book art. And he also taught art as well. And he was a great guy.
Like when you were in Mexico, like did you submit the work, or did somebody submit that work for you?
Yeah, I submitted my work ahead of time. And then when I was down there, I received the Silver Pen Award for my writing.
Exciting, man. And you've been writing ever since, man. Like what motivates you to write? Like, does somebody need to sit down and have inspiration to write, or you just sit down and just helps. You know what I mean? The discipline.
Yeah, it definitely helps. I mean, I try to read often, so it keeps my creative juices in my mind kind of flowing, and definitely writing on a regular basis. It's just like, I guess like anything, you got to keep practicing and doing it to get good at it. I like to read mythology. I like to read comic books. I like to read fiction. And even real things that are, nonfiction and real things that are going on in the world today. I incorporate all that into my writing, as best as I can.
When did you start writing? Did you start writing when you were like a young cat, like in high
Yeah,
school?
I did. I started
Yeah.
writing at a young age. I think it was like in elementary school, really,
Yeah.
is when I started to get acknowledged actually for my writing, creative writings and essays that I submitted.
Mhm.
And then when I went to high school at the Delphi Academy, they had a monthly creative writing requirement. So that actually
Mhm.
helped me to kind of just develop my fiction writing skills, because I was having to submit like a certain number of words every month
Yeah.
of fiction. I forget exactly how many, but it was a few thousand words.
Mhm.
So by having to do that, I had to like constantly every month come up with creative stories, creative ideas, and that kind of inspired me. As I was coming up as
Yeah.
a teenager in writing. And then in college, I actually studied journalism as well. So I
Mhm.
had to write, nonfiction articles and that kind of thing. And I got awarded for that too, which was kind of cool. So it was
That's
just,
excellent,
yeah, a
man.
lot of practicing, a lot of writing. Even I've had a day job too where I was writing newsletters
Mhm.
for like a health and wellness newsletter.
Uh-huh.
Um, and
What
so
newsletter?
I had to compile those articles as well as publish the newsletter as well. So, and it
Oh,
was funny
okay.
because that was for my mom's business. So it's like
Oh,
there's
okay.
all these different things, different ways that I've developed my writing skills, not just solely with comic books and fiction,
Mhm.
but in other areas as well. I've even written for a couple lowrider magazines like Street Low,
Yeah.
and another one was called Wheels 2000. I don't think they're still around
And
anymore,
how,
but
how do you
yeah.
find those that opportunity to write it for Lowrider? Did you like submit like like did they have like an ad we're looking for writers and you just submitted your work
Not
or
necessarily ad with those. It's just
networking?
I sometimes I meet the publisher somewhere,
Yeah.
or I even just send them a email, or back before emails, I would just send them a letter
Yeah.
or something
The
like
courier
that
letter.
and say, hey, could I write an article for you? I really like your magazine. Get into establish a
Yeah.
friendship with them, and that kind of thing. And they usually work. Sometimes it doesn't, like with Marvel Comics. I've
Mhm.
submitted some of my work a couple of times and I've been rejected a
Yeah.
few times. So, and I haven't got accepted yet. So I'm still working on that. So
It's a
it's
hustle,
a
man.
working process.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been writing for since high school. Because a lot of people don't know this, but it took me a while to learn how to read because I grew up with like a learning disability, and
Okay.
but when I was able to read and write, um, I just took to it right away, and I think it's because it was something that was held back for me. That when I just learned how to do it, I fell in love with it,
Yeah.
and I've been writing ever since high school, and
Mm,
I started out writing screenplays because I wanted to make movies, and I still want to make movies. But
very
right
well.
now, I'm writing a book of short stories that take place at night, and it's called The Late Hour, and it all takes place in Norwalk too, and
Oh, cool.
the story that I'm writing right now, it was supposed to be a short story, but now it's a book. And
Nice. Nice.
at first I was a little hesitant. I'm like, God damn it! I'm like, this isn't a short story anymore, and I was worried. And I just let it go. It's like, you know what? It's going to be a book. It's fine. This will be the
Yeah.
centerpiece of the short stories that ties everything together, because it's kind of like it's a memoir of this kid's experience, like 20 years ago. And I don't want to give too much away, but
Okay.
it's trippy writing stuff about high school as like I'm writing as my character reminiscing his fictional life, and it's kind of like I don't know. So it's Charlie Kaufman's like.
Oh, cool. Because I
But
remember reading your comic book too, because we actually shared a table at
yeah,
the
that's how we
Latino
met.
Comic Expo a few years back.
Yeah,
And I dug it, man. I was
yeah.
like
Thanks.
wanting more. It got me interested in
Yeah,
you as a writer, and that kind of thing.
yeah. Like unfortunately, like I hit like after that, I hit like a financial snag. It was pretty
Okay.
bad.
Okay.
Like
Yeah,
I was
things happen
I was
like that.
crushing
Yeah.
cans to make ends meet. You know what I mean? Like recycling.
I
So
got you. Yeah.
I couldn't follow that anymore because I had to pay the artist and I had to pay for the printing. I had to pay, it all that stuff accumulates.
It
But
does. It does.
it's
Because
a
I know I have firsthand experience with that, especially with the comics, and because of that, there was a time when I was kind of financially in a bind and that kind of thing. So as a writer, I said, you know what, let me do prose writing and fiction
Mhm.
without the pictures, and
Yeah,
that definitely helped
that's
in
smart.
saving some cash,
Absolutely.
because I didn't have to pay artists. Because with comic books, sometimes you got to pay somebody for the pencil, the ink,
Yes.
and then if you don't do the lettering, you got to get them to do
Lettering.
the lettering, someone to color it. So there's all these people you got to pay. But if you're just doing prose, it's just you and your imagination. And
Exactly.
eventually, if you're going to self-publish, of course, that printing course, but it's definitely cheaper than having a whole crew that you have to pay to finish getting a
Absolutely,
final
man.
product. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's what
So
I'm
and
doing.
then and the cool thing with that is I won an award for I wrote a novelette actually, and I won an International Latino Book Award for my first novelette that I
Yes,
wrote. So that
I
that
saw
that
that.
was a rewarding experience, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Did
yeah.
he give you like a trophy? Was it like any monetary like award, or like did
It
they
wasn't
send your book
monetary,
to
but
like
it was like a
different agencies?
certificate and
Uh-huh.
a medal. Yeah, and it was a medal.
Hey man, you're getting recognized, and that has to mean something, right? I
I'm
mean,
working
like,
on it.
you
Yeah,
know,
I'm working on it.
if the universe didn't
It
want you
helped.
to do it, they wouldn't get you wouldn't gotten an award, you know. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
So
take
I'm
the
happy
same.
about that.
Yeah, like I've gotten some awards too for like filmmaking and a like a sponsorship for writing for like for my stories.
Nice.
I'm like well, like I mean, there's some people who they do this every day and they're submitting stuff and they don't get recognized. And I'm submitting, I'm getting some kind of recognition, so it's validating. But at the
Right,
same
right.
time, like what I want to do, what also you want to do, it costs a lot of money because you have to pay other people to do it. As a filmmaker, you just write a script, but you have to you have to pay for the fucking thing. So
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. I
so
totally relate. I actually have a background in filmmaking as well. I
yeah,
studied cinema. Yeah, I studied cinema at Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, as well as at Los Angeles City College.
you know what?
And I
Since you brought
worked in
that
the
up,
film industry and the music
yeah.
video industry for a short time as well.
I wanted to talk to you about your experience working on Friday, because whenever
Yeah,
you told me that story, I thought it was incredible. It was a really good story, and I
yeah. I
loved
got my
hearing
Ice
it.
Cube shirt on right now too.
Yeah,
Boys in
that's
the
right,
Hood.
dude.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
I didn't
I was
work on Boys
wondering.
in the Hood, but yeah, Friday I worked on that. Yeah, that was back in '94.
Yeah,
94. I had actually dropped out of college. I dropped out of art center. Yeah, and I
yeah.
wanted to work in the film industry. And I met F. Gary Gray when he was shooting a music video for Coolio called The Fantastic Voyage.
Uh-huh.
It was funny because the way I found out about that was I was listening to Power 106, and they made an announcement. They were looking for girls, chicks, to be in this Coolio music video.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, at that time I was single, and I thought, oh, you know what? They're asking for chicks, but let me go down there because maybe I could pick up on a chick.
That's right.
So, anyways, I went down there looking for girls. So I went with a couple of my buddies, and while I was there, because I was just around the set, they pulled me in as an extra, and I saw the director doing his thing, and I had like ambitions to work in cinema and music videos and that kind of thing. So I waited until after the shoot, and I approached the director and I said, hey, you know what? I told him, at that time I think I was 18 years old, and I said, hey, I'm a young guy with ambitions to work in the film industry. Would you have an opportunity for me to intern with you? And he was real cool. He gave me his phone number. He said, look, I have a movie coming up. Just stay in touch with me and I'll let you know if we can bring you on. So I did that. I didn't hound him. I waited maybe, I think, a week or something like that after he gave me his number. I called him. He said, no, nothing right now. Call me in a couple weeks. I did that. And then sure enough, he got Friday. He was already doing music videos at that time.
Yeah.
And so he got the go ahead, the green light for Friday. And then he brought me on, and then
How many times did you have to call him? How many times did you have to call him to get that?
Not many, because I made sure like I would respect him, because I knew he was a professional, and I didn't want to annoy him either, So I think I called him maybe like two or three times, but and I just followed what he said. He said call me in a week, and I'll give you an update. That's exactly what I would do. Yeah.
Yeah, because it showed him that you were serious. You know.
Yeah,
You didn't,
yeah, yeah,
you
and
didn't
yeah,
pickle out.
exactly. Yeah. Hmm.
And so he got
Yeah.
Friday, and I remember he told me that at first they didn't want to. They got a different actor to play Smokey, and it was who was
That's
it?
right. It was the
Yeah.
screenwriter actually. The co-screenwriter was DJ Pooh,
Hmm.
and he was originally slated to play Smokey, but then Chris Tucker came on and he knocked the
He
socks
nailed it,
out of
right?
everybody. Everybody on that production was just like so blown away by Chris, and he had been in a few things before that, but nothing
Yeah.
major. And yeah, the director loved him, the producers loved him, and then yeah, so he came on
And
as
the rest was
Smokey.
history.
Real cool guy too. And the funny
Yeah.
thing is see, I didn't really know who he was at that time,
Yeah.
so I was not starstruck. So anytime I was around him, I was real comfortable, never nervous, and he always treated me cool and always treated me nice and respectful, and a
Right on.
great guy. Yeah,
How was
it was a
Ice
fun
Cube in that movie?
experience. It was
Was
good.
he okay? Like, was he
Huh?
like Ice Cube? Was he like the
I think
same?
was cool. He was cool.
Yeah?
I was intimidated by him. I was a young dude, and he was a hardcore gangster rapper.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of his. But I kept my distance, and that
Did he have a
that
posse with him? You know, like his entourage?
No,
No?
not that I remember. He had his entourage working behind the camera a lot, like his cousin. I met his cousin, Emmett. His bodyguard, they were all kind of behind the camera. So yeah, they were there, but it was like small number, not a huge
Yeah.
entourage.
Did that production feel
and
like
he was real cool
movie?
with me. He was real cool with me too.
Yeah.
I didn't interact with him that much, but when I did, he was real cool, respectful dude, real friendly guy. Yeah.
I got you, man. And was that production? Did it feel like an independent production, or did it feel like a major motion picture?
Definitely. It was a small production too, shot in I think like maybe about 2 or 3 locations.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really interesting because at that time I was really into black cinema, so like I was like really following filmmakers like Spike Lee and John Singleton and Mario Van Peebles, and it was a cool experience too because everyone behind the camera, like I would say, like wow, man, like 70% were African Americans, and that was kind of cool. So it was like black folks making a black folks type of movie, and so that was a really really cool experience.
It was a breath of fresh air because it was at the time in the 90s where like it was just mostly white movies,
Yeah,
rare,
there was black cinema, but Hollywood at that time was known for being was heavily white,
Yes.
And so it was cool to be a part of that. And to be honest with you, I was actually surprised at how how talented and just how professional everybody was who worked on that film. Like it didn't reflect the material that we were shooting. Because look, check it out. Like Friday was funny, right? But it was about some like just hood dudes who were getting high and who were kind of knuckleheads, right?
Yeah,
but the people behind the camera who were making that film were like the totally opposite.
Yeah.
Totally opposite. Very articulate, ethical, professional people of color.
Were they really blazing it?
Like on their shit. Yeah.
Did they actually smoke weed? Like Chris Tucker or Ice-T? I mean,
nope. Ice Cube, no comment on that. No comment on that.
Yeah. So okay, all right.
I would get anybody in trouble.
I also remember you telling me when the movie was finally like in the can and they screened it with the executives. Nobody laughed because the executives were mostly white dudes, so it didn't play well.
Yeah. I was afraid too. I was real concerned about how it would be received by the public as a person who worked on it, because when they screened it for the execs, I think it was screened across the street from Paramount Studios, and not that many people laughed. Not that many people laughed during that screening, and once it was finished, Ice Cube himself was standing at the door where people would exit the screening area, and he was just sort of like comforting people and trying to tell them like, hey, don't worry, this is for the
Yeah, this
kids.
movie's
They're
gonna
gonna
play.
like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're gonna like this. So he was trying to like put a little
comfort them. Yeah,
yeah, comfort. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's like, hey,
Hey, don't worry.
it's like we'll
But
make
the crazy
money.
thing, hey, but
Yeah,
you know what? What I found out statistically was is that was one of the highest grossing movies that came out that
yeah,
year,
it's true.
compared to the budget that was spent on it. And look at what happened.
Yeah, it became like a
Yeah,
a pop
cult
culture
hit.
halt. You know? Yeah, cult
Yeah,
hit.
yeah, and then they
I
came
remember when
out
the
with
movie came out.
what is it, like two sequels, and
Yeah,
maybe they may even make another one with Chris Tucker returning. Who knows?
I heard about that too, man. Um,
Yeah.
like uh, with with that movie, did that open up doors for you? I mean, I'm sure it did because like you were. I mean, was there like an after
Well,
party and all that stuff? And you know,
yeah, there was an after party, but actually, what happened was I just wound up continuing to work with that director, and I worked with him on a couple music videos after that.
yeah. And
Yeah, yeah, and
did, was it?
and
Did
then I
how?
actually, and then he actually opened up a post production facility in Beverly Hills, um, where he had an Avid system,
Yeah,
editing system there, and he actually paid for me to get trained on how to use that system, and I wound up overseeing that edit bay for some time actually, and then I eventually went back to school. Studying cinema because I wanted to direct myself,
yeah.
so
Because you made a short
that's
film
what
too.
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you made a short film, and I think you shot on film because no, digital didn't exist back then. You know. Um,
I actually, yeah, some of them I shot on 16 millimeter. I did
yeah,
a few short films, and then some of them I just shot on my regular VHS camcorder
I got you,
and
man.
edited it together. Yeah, yeah, it was good fun. The film school days.
Um,
Um,
do you,
yeah,
do people still use Avid? Because I remember when I was going to film school, they showed us how to
I
use
don't know.
Avid, or is
It's
it
been a
just
while
Final
since
Cut
I've been.
Pro? You know, was you know?
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's been some years now, but
Yeah.
at that time it was Avid. Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna read you a quote from Stephen King. It says,
Oh.
co- "Amateurs sit and wait for inspiration. The rest of
Mhm.
us just get up and go to work." With people who have like day jobs and families, do you think that quote applies, or as
Oh
long as
yeah.
you, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I think it applies to everybody for sure. You
do,
definitely got to get you got
at
to
least
sit
like
at the
study one
table.
hour?
Yeah, you got to sit down and do it.
Yeah,
Even if it's late at night or early in the morning, whenever you get a chance, you got to do it. You got to schedule time to do it. It's
yeah,
like exercise, really. Sometimes you don't want to do it,
yeah. I
but
totally understand,
you
man.
got to sit down and crank it out.
And what's your schedule? What's your
Even
routine?
as bad as as bad as it might come out at first, there's always that process of revising it, putting
Hmm.
it through drafts. That's basically been my process, is putting it out there. I mean, putting out, when I say putting it out there, like putting it on paper, typing it out on my computer,
Yeah,
and getting the idea out of my head into into a physical form, and then just going over it, reading over it, seeing where I can tighten it up. If it's cool, leaving it
yeah.
alone, moving on, and that kind of thing. And yeah, putting it through that draft process always seems to help me to perfect it and make it come out exactly how I want it to.
Yeah, I find when I'm editing, it's easier. It's easier because I have something to play with. You know, I have something to mold and put things here and there and add stuff, take away stuff. It's because you have something tangible to manipulate. Which
Sure.
writing it takes me because I'm used to writing screenplays, and now that I'm writing like a narrative, uh,
Yeah.
like it's a little bit longer because I have to write details and tones and all. It's a different beast.
It is.
And
It is. Yeah. It's just like writing a narrative compared to writing a comic book too.
mhm,
Like, because when I'm doing a comic book, I'm thinking in sequential art form, the visuals and that kind of thing. And I'm also working with the artist too, so that once I get the art, sometimes I'll tweak the dialogue or the captions so that it fits the art, because the art may come out maybe a little bit different than how I've described it to the
yeah,
artist. But when you're writing prose, it's all on you. So that's where the revisions come in, and putting it through the drafts help. Also, if you could find a writer that you admire and you like their style, you could kind of compare it to
Yeah.
how they told the story or described something. Not to plagiarize, but to
Yeah.
be inspired by or to learn from them, you know?
Yes.
That seems to help. That helped me, like, because when I was writing The Good, the Bad, and the Chile, which was my novelette, I was reading Animal Farm by and that book I thought was really cool, and I was like, I kind of modeled it after Animal Farm
Okay.
when I was writing that story.
Yeah, I remember you promoting that book is kind of like you said something about like kind of Roger Rabbit-ish type of story.
It was kind of inspired by that whole setup of the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
Yeah.
and movies like Fire and Ice by Ralph Bakshi, and Cool World.
Yeah, I remember Cool.
Those type of movies where they mix animation and live action.
Yes.
So that was the inspiration in that, and I wanted to tell a story about this chili pepper from Mexico who comes over as an undocumented immigrant and goes on this adventure. And it's funny because I saw this illustration by Memo Angeles of this chili pepper, and you know how they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, this one picture that he drew of a chili pepper, crazy looking cartoon chili pepper, it inspired me, and my novelette came out to 20,000 words. So you could say his picture inspired that 20,000 words story. Man. Yeah.
And what's your routine? How do you like? What's your hour to write? Do you have a favorite hour to write, or is it whenever you have available time?
Yeah, whenever I have time available, sometimes I write in the morning, afternoon, at night. I would say I regularly write in the evening and at night, and I just sit down and go at it and
cool.
Read it over, make any revisions that I need to.
And it's like every day. Do you write every day?
The internet now really helps too, because if I have anything that I need to research or questions about, it's really fast in getting that research data done.
Oh, for sure.
Versus having to just always go to the library back in the day.
Absolutely, and going through like the deck of cards and looking for the book that you needed. Remember that? I don't know what it's called, but I remember that.
I remember doing that in high school.
Yeah, me too.
Elementary school, when I had to do research papers, you'd have to go and look it up and use the microfilm and that kind of thing. And I'm sure all of those things are still available to people, but definitely having internet access and Wi-Fi, it helps make the writing process a lot smoother nowadays.
Do you feel like, because you have the internet to do your research, is it a slippery slope to get distracted with social media? You're like, oh, I'm gonna check Facebook, and then you just get into this wormhole, and it's like, oh shit, I didn't even write anything in the past hour.
It's happened. It's happened many times. I just gotta. It's just a matter of discipline. You just gotta say, okay, enough of Facebook, enough of Instagram for right now. I need to focus on what I'm doing. Yeah.
I saw this gimmick on social media about like trying to get writers just less distracted. So the creator created this typewriter. It was basically a typewriter, but like digital, like doesn't have internet or anything. You just type, you just write. And oh my, and it was like they're selling it for $500. I'm like, that's stupid. That's like that's a straight up scam, Why would somebody pay $500 that doesn't have internet and you just type it like one of those word processors from the 80s, you know? You know what I'm talking about? Okay. Oh, that's a scam. And I couldn't.
Maybe that helped somebody write. I don't know. Maybe it inspired
I see a lot of
somebody.
people like commenting. I'm like, I love this machine. It's like, are you serious?
Oh, is that right? Yeah. There are different gimmicks. I guess whatever works for you, and gets you writing. But definitely you got to just do it, like the Nike slogan.
It's as cliche as it sounds.
Just do it and go at it. Yeah. Because if you keep putting it off, like I got an idea, one day I want to do this, it may never happen, but if you start just going at it, putting that idea down on paper, into your phone, into your iPad, into your computer, whatever, and just, building off of that, building off of a sentence to a paragraph, to a page, to 2 pages, chapter, and sooner or later you'll get it done, just a matter of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was marveling at the the book that I'm writing right now. I'm like, Jesus, I'm like, I'm in page 400, and it's getting there. I'm reaching the moments, because when you're a writer or creator, you have these scenes that you have in your head, and you want to reach these scenes, and you're trying to
Yeah.
get there, and I'm finally reaching those moments in my book. It's like, oh, I can't believe I'm finally here, like it's
Yeah. Oh,
getting done,
cool. Yeah,
it's
that's
taking me a
great.
fucking long ass time to finish it, but I devote every Friday night to write, to do something
Nice.
creative.
Nice.
I do a little drinking, and sometimes I get drunk. but
Okay.
it's
Okay.
my
Okay.
it's my
Yeah.
day
Yeah. Yeah.
to unwind and write. That's I deserve
Right
it. I go to
on.
work every day and act like a normal human being. but I
That's
mean,
good. That's good.
that's my day.
Yeah.
But I noticed in recently, I think it was when I first got a day job, for like working back in the workforce back in 2016, because I was working
Yeah.
for my father for a very long time in his trucking company. So I was able to, make short films, have more liberty to pursue my creative, life. But with having like, being in corporate now, like it's different. So I come
Yeah.
back home, like exhausted. So I don't,
Mhm.
I it's hard enough to go to the gym and work out. And then after working in the gym, it's like 10 o'clock. I'm like, Jesus, because like I just can't sit down and write. I mean, I could write for an hour, but it takes me about 30 to 40 minutes to get back into the groove of the story that I'm writing, because I'm reading what I
Okay.
wrote the day before, rearranging
Sure.
it, and as I'm rearranging the paragraphs, then it starts becoming more and more and more. You know what I mean?
I
And
got
that's
you.
how
Yeah.
I work. But before, I mean, maybe it's because of the story that I'm writing right now, because I think I'm getting burnt out.
Mm.
Because the other stories I was writing every day. Like I got back from work and I devoted at least an hour or 40 minutes or whatever every day, and I was getting it done. Each story was taking me
Yeah.
6 months. Each short story was taking me 6 months to finish, except for this one because it's a book. So it's been 3 years I've been writing this book.
Nice.
But
Okay.
so now, like, I wish I had the same discipline I had 4 years ago, where I took care of my business at home and then I went upstairs to write. But I haven't. I just like after I eat dinner, I'm fucking done. I'm taking a shower
Mm.
and going to bed. And I don't know. I feel guilty that I don't devote at least 30 minutes, 40 minutes to my work, because I know even if
Mm.
it's just like a little bit, it still
Yeah.
adds something to the story. It gets, it's getting done. But
Mhm.
writing every weekend, it's slowing me down. So
Mm.
I'm trying to get myself mentally back into that headspace, and I wanted to talk to a fellow writer like you and see how you do it. Do you get burnt out when you're writing something? Like if you're writing something every day, do you have to step aside and just kind of like, I need something different. I need to like take a hike, go to the beach, or step away from your work to get refocused.
Yeah. Yes. Definitely. Definitely. Sometimes I do get burnt out. I guess. Trying to think when that happens. I actually go outside, do some grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Or even maybe they take a break and watch a movie now on Netflix.
What are you watching right
Or
now?
read a comic book. I'm not watching any series right now on
No?
Netflix. I'm
Okay.
not watching anything actually right now on
Yeah.
Netflix. But the last couple movies that I saw were animated movies. Over the Moon, I
Mhm.
really enjoyed that, and there's one called Nazha. Both of them had this have like an Asian theme to it, which is kind of cool because May is the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So I kind of got into that on Netflix, and so that was enjoyable. So yeah, getting those type of little distractions help when I get
Yeah.
maybe burnt out or tired on a story. But most of the times I'm so jazzed to complete it because I set a kind of set a target for myself, and I
Yeah.
want to get it done by a certain date. Now it's maybe for an event that I'm going to exhibit at, or even a book competition. So I have that deadline there. So I'm eager to get it done by the deadline. So like I don't normally get burnt out because I do like take a break.
Mhm.
And then once I get back into it, I'm kind of jazzed about the story.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I like, some of the things I don't like, I try to work on that to improve it. So I get engaged in it. And then also like the whole process of like doing research and learning new things is kind of makes things fresh for me too. And I like that. And so that I can also incorporate what I learn into my writing.
I see. And you know what it helps me too? Like
Mm.
when I take a shower and then I put on some shoes. I dress like I'm going to work, and then that
Okay.
helps my brain to switch. I'm not dicking around the
All right.
computer. I'm at work. You know what I mean? I have some nice clothes on,
Okay.
my shoes on, and it helps me get in the groove, and it does. It's so weird,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just this
I
little
know what
mind
you mean.
tricks.
Yeah, I don't usually when I'm at home, I don't usually get dressed up. I'm still in my PJs, but I do like, wash up, and get organized and that kind of thing, and treat it as if like we're going into the office.
Yes.
Yeah, so that definitely helps. I treat it like as a professional activity, even though I may be lounging in my PJs. I
Hmm.
still, treat it as a professional activity. And it was funny that you were saying that you were working with your dad's trucking company. When I started doing comic books too, I was working for my mom's business as well. She has a physical therapy clinic, and I was doing medical billing for her. So yeah, I had a lot more time to write at that time because working
Yes.
for the family business,
Yeah.
I was able to control my hours a little bit more.
Hmm.
So I had certain days during the week when I could write more, and work on comic book related activities. So that really helped,
The best. Yeah.
Yeah. So that definitely helps when you could kind of organize your work schedule, your day job schedule in a way that you could still create and do your writing.
You know,
Yeah.
have you seen the movie Ready Player One or read the book?
I've seen the movie. Yes.
Yeah. So the author of that book, Ernest Klein, it took him 10 years to finish that book, and he had a day
Oh
job,
wow.
and he had a family, or he has a family. And
Okay.
I heard his interview on Coast to Coast AM,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it was very inspiring because I believe he worked at a bank, and he said he came home just exhausted. Sometimes he didn't write, but when he did write, he wanted to finish his book, and it took him 10 years. And look what happened. Steven Spielberg directed his book.
Right. Right.
It's trippy, and like
Yeah.
it was inspiring. It's like, well, if this cat did it and it took him 10 years to finish it, I mean, I hope my story doesn't take 10 years, but if it does, it
Right.
does, it does. I mean, my greatest fear is getting hit by a car and I won't be able to finish my work,
Yeah, I mean,
it was,
it takes as long as it takes. Sometimes,
yeah,
yeah, because of personal circumstances, work circumstances, or whatnot, it'll take a long period of time,
yeah,
short period of time. Yeah, it all depends. But I think the main thing is being able to sit down and write. You got to
absolutely.
write and find time to write. If you got the family, if you got the day job, whatever kind of conditions you got going on, you got to definitely make the time to write and make it a fun process too. So
Yeah.
it's something that you want to do, something that you like, not dreading.
Yeah. It's not
Um,
work.
yeah,
It's what you love to do. And,
yeah, and I would say also you could set small goals for yourself too, so that once you reach them, maybe finish a chapter, finish telling a certain scene, and maybe then take a break and then come back at it so that you're refreshed and your mental juices are
yeah.
flowing. Is maybe
And
a good thing to
how,
do.
how many drafts do you take before you give it out to people to
Oh
read
man, that's a
professionally?
good question.
Yeah.
It varies for different projects, but
Because
usually
you
quite
could
a
like
few.
re-edit
Yeah.
it and edit it over and over again. You know what I mean? It's never,
Yeah, but
at
for
some point you have to let it
myself,
go.
like to be honest with you, I've been self-published all this time, so I've never worked with the editor. But
Yeah.
for myself, as far as me wearing the editing hat of my own work, um, I, obviously I would go over it, proofreading that kind of thing, make sure it flows and that kind of thing. But then
Yes.
as a writer, as far as draft wise goes, like it would usually take me a few drafts, several drafts actually, until I
Mhm.
feel really comfortable with, being able to present my work to the
Yeah.
world, or turn it in. Yeah.
Yeah. Because with the two first short stories that I wrote, I found a story editor, and it was through a friend, and
Uh-huh.
she's an English teacher, and she wants to be a story editor professionally.
Oh,
And I said,
okay.
I hit her up, and it's very different to get notes about your story, about adding things, deleting things, giving more details, seeing a bunch of red marks everywhere. It's like, oh shit. Like, it's just I don't. I'm very open to all these suggestions because I don't want to be they only want to heighten your story. They're doing this to it is a constructive criticism, they're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
being bullies,
that definitely helps.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm totally open for it, but it still sucks to see all those red marks.
it does. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
feel you. Yeah, actually, when I wrote my first novelette, and actually another author friend of mine, Reina Grande, who I actually took writing classes with, so she's a mentor of mine. She actually read over my first draft and
Uh-huh.
and edited it and gave me pointers of what I needed to work
Mhm.
on, and what could be edited out, and that actually really helped
Yeah,
in that process. Yeah, so it
absolutely.
definitely can be beneficial if you have someone who's trained, and who you value their constructive criticism and feedback to read over your material and let you know what
Absolutely.
works and maybe what didn't work, and take it from there. Yeah.
And how do you feel? Because I've gotten this a lot, especially at work.
Uh-huh.
How do you feel? How do you feel when people say what you're doing is a hobby and like,
Oh
oh,
my
that's a
God!
nice
Yeah,
hobby?
I've had that happen. I've
Yeah,
heard that so many times.
yeah, absolutely. Pisses me off.
I guess it pisses me off, and I just bite my tongue and just
Yeah,
acknowledge
me
them.
too.
Maybe for them that's what they see it as, because I've had like people who they're not artists themselves, so they
Mhm.
cannot really relate,
Absolutely.
and so they look at it as a hobby or something that kids do or something like that,
Yeah,
and I'm like, no, man, adults make comic books, even though some
yeah.
material might be juvenile, that doesn't necessarily mean that the people who make it are juveniles,
You
and
know what's
so yeah, when I
interesting?
when I hear comments like
Yeah,
that, or that yeah, that it's a hobby, uh, uh, I just say,
yeah,
okay, if they think it's that way, I just try to know it myself in my mind that that's not what I'm doing. I mean, um, I treat it as a professional activity, um, and and
yeah.
go from
Like,
there.
because in the end, people who say that's a hobby, I'm like, you're watching television, you read books, you read magazines. I mean, are these, you could consider that a hobby, right? But you're reading it, you're consuming this art that you consider a hobby, and you're like being a dick about it,
Right.
you know?
Or
And
it could be too that they've never met anyone who's made it professionally doing what you intend to do. So
yeah,
maybe for them they think it's a hobby or some kind of like activity that you do for fun.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
guess with those people, once you make something or you produce something or publish something, you could show it to them, and that's just another example of a product,
yeah,
something professionally done, and you could say, hey, look at this, or
yeah,
look at this award that I won, or
yeah.
look at
Drop
this book that I
mic.
sold,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
exactly.
and
I had a manager that it was funny because like, we have meetings about getting to know each other, and she's like, "Oh, what do you like to do?" It was like, "Oh, I'm a writer. Like, I want to be an author." It's like, "Oh, that's just a hobby." Oh my, really? Oh my, you're trying to get to know me, and like this is like the things like, oh, it's a hobby. But here's the thing, like
yeah,
then we had another meeting several weeks later with like a whole group, the department trying to get to know
yeah,
each other. And
yeah.
then it circled back to me of what I do, and she said it to the whole damn group. It's like, oh, it's a hobby, and people were defending me. It's like, it's not a hobby, and blah blah blah. It's like what is up with this bitch? So why did she have to do
Yeah.
that in front of people? Like
Yeah,
it's like
there
she
haters
got
out
threatened.
there,
She
Yeah,
got
there,
threatened to
there,
have
there's definitely
meetings or
haters
something.
out there who are
Yeah,
gonna put you down for having an ambition to create or
yeah.
do something that they can't do, and you just gotta like keep on going, keep on
I
trucking.
was
Don't let
really
that.
angry when she said that in front of the whole group. I'm like, are you
Oh,
serious?
okay,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
Some
I'm
people are
like,
just rude like
yeah.
that. Yeah,
So it's like, Christian.
that doesn't sound cool at
No,
all.
it's not. I'm like, I said in my head, like, Christian, you're getting paid to be here. You know what I mean? If this was like at a bar, she
Yeah.
would have gotten it. But I had to think about my paycheck, so I said, all right.
Okay, okay.
But uh, how? Let me see. I'm gonna look through my notes. Oh,
Yeah.
who are your favorite writers?
Okay, wow, that's a good question. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think comics definitely Stan Lee, he kind of laid down the foundation for the Marvel universe. and I love his sense of humor, his characters.
Yeah, he's definitely a character.
Yeah, and
What do you feel about the controversy that's going on with Stan Lee right now? That a lot of people are saying like he was just the face of Marvel. He didn't really have too much contribution in the characters that we all know right now. Did you hear about the controversy? They're kind of like, oh, he's just a face,
a bit.
you know?
I wouldn't agree with that. You know, I think he was a very influential person in the whole process of creating these characters. Definitely, you know, the artists who co-created with them should get credited, you know, like Jack Kirby and
Yeah,
Steve Ditko and all the other various artists who and writers who contributed to the Marvel universe definitely should get credit. But yeah, he was definitely the, you know, the dude in command, the dude running things, the dude who started the kind of getting the ball
mhm,
rolling and over there and supervising things and whatnot. So
yeah,
I definitely think you know, yeah, he definitely deserves the credit he's due.
absolutely. It's like Walt Disney, you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like he has like the
exactly.
idea, you
Just
know what
like
I mean?
Walt
I'm like,
Disney, you know,
it's just
yeah,
the cancel
you know,
culture that's going on right now. Everybody wants to cancel everybody. That's so
yeah,
weird, you know?
yeah,
But that's neither here or there. But is there
right,
any other
right.
comic book,
And,
any other
and,
writers
and
that you like?
and then in comic books, you know, a bunch a bunch of different writers. I would say like uh, I'm kind of drawing a blank right now,
Mm.
but
You know who I like to read is I like to read a lot of Stephen King stuff. It's just like I like like the stuff that he cranks out. I mean, not all of it's because he writes a lot, so not everything's going to be good. But the stuff that he created when he was younger it's amazing. It's like almost like I read The Green Mile in high school. Oh my, this is
okay.
great. Oh my,
Yeah,
this is literature. You know, it's
yeah. I read some of the Green Mile as well. Yeah,
yeah.
I would say like someone like J.R.R. Tolkien. I love The
Mhm.
Hobbit. Um, and actually Mark Twain, man. I love Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah.
Those type of authors really influence me as far as their storytelling
Mhm.
and character development and dialogue.
You know what
Yeah.
author? You know, because this year I'm trying to broaden my horizons. I'm reading authors that I normally wouldn't read, and you know, I heard a lot about Ernest Oscar Wilde, and I never read any of his stuff. So I went to the bookstore, you know, at the beginning of the year in January, and I bought The Picture of Dorian Gray, and I never read it before. I had no
Mm.
idea what it was about, and it was great. I love reading it. It was kind of like a Twilight Zone type of story, you know. Have you do you know? Are you familiar with the story?
I've heard of him. Yeah, I don't think I've read his work yet.
Well, in that story, it's about this painter paints this portrait of a gorgeous man, and the guy is saying, "It's like, isn't it crazy that this is going to be like anything in the future? This is going to be the youngest. This is going to be the portrait of your beauty and everything. When you get older, you're just going to look at this, and it's always going to be beautiful." And then the main character said, Dorian Gray says, like, "I wish the painting would grow old and I would stay young forever," and that happens. And
Mm.
he turns out to be a piece of shit, you know. So he turns out to be like the most devious person you ever met. Like he's not everybody in the end. He destroys a lot of lives, and it's a really good story. I'm like, damn, I should have read this in
Okay.
high school, man. I can't believe it took me like 20 years to read this. You know,
All
it's
right.
totally up my alley. I had no idea was it about, but I was completely surprised and surprised that I read something like that. It was like
Yeah,
it was good.
it's always cool to read some good classic writing, you know,
Yeah,
because it's to me it's actually refreshing, even though it can be kind of old writing.
yeah.
But reading something from someone who's got some talent and who's been recognized for their work,
See,
it
like with
definitely helps me to grow as a writer as well. But I was also you asking me in comics too. I would say Brian Michael Bendis. I really like his writing style too because his dialogue is real, like witty, and it really moves really fast.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I really enjoy his
What
writing.
what about like filmmakers? Do you have a favorite filmmaker that is like that you're say once it comes out you want to check it out right away because his
Yeah,
movies are so
I would
good.
say starting with like, you know, Spike Lee.
Mhm.
You know, I really love his work and his sort of view on the world, and definitely am a fan of Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
Love Goodfellas.
Yeah. It's a really good movie.
I love all the cinema he's done with Leonardo DiCaprio too.
Mhm.
Um, Also, Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Man, I've been a fan of his since El Mariachi came out.
Mhm.
Um, and I love his action, and how he incorporates the Mexican and Latino culture
Yeah.
in his films.
And I like
Yeah,
that how I had the opportunity to hear him like speak at a luncheon, and it's very inspiring to because like he lives in Texas and he brought people to his studio, and like Bruce Willis and Jessica Alba and all that, like they're working with him, and he works
yeah.
outside the film studio, and he makes independent movies, and I think he said that he's not even part of the DGA. And because of that, he's not eligible to win an Academy Award at all. And he says, like,
Uh,
I didn't I didn't make movies to win awards. I make movies to make the movies I want to watch. And
yeah,
he's
I think
he said he's
Spike Lee
completely
was
fine with it.
like, I think Spike Lee had a similar situation too. I'm not sure if it's that way still, but I guess some of these guys kind of protest the DGA because of of the way that Hollywood has sort
Yeah.
of portrayed certain races in the past. So
Mhm.
I think that might be why they have a little beef and they're just being outspoken about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
mean, I
yeah, yeah,
heard, I heard George
Robert
Lucas also
Rodriguez,
has
so
been.
talented,
Yeah.
James Cameron, another a director that I really enjoy watching his cinema. F. Gary Gray, who I worked on Friday with.
Mhm.
I dig Straight Outta Compton was great. I remember seeing that in the theater twice, and
Oh,
this was
really?
before COVID, so
Yeah.
it was always packed in there, and the
Yeah.
lines are like I had not seen lines to go to see a movie like that in a long time.
True.
So that was kind of cool to
The
see that
experience, right?
to experience it. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I miss like in high school or before, like when you had digital, you bought your tickets online and the seats were reserved, that you had to go. You really had to watch the movie. You really wanted to watch the movie because you had to
Ah,
show up like 2 hours ahead of time so you could be the first person in line, and you took
sure.
pride that you showed up and you're getting the best seats in the house instead of like the
Yeah,
random.
yeah.
You know
I
what I mean? They
remember
say
when.
it's all in the back. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
I miss that.
totally. Totally,
Those
man.
are
I remember when Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom came out. This was might have been before your time. It was when I was in elementary school,
yeah.
and yeah, I got together with a couple of my friends. One of their dads drove us to the Man's Chinese Theater in Hollywood, and we had to wait on a line that like went literally like
Yeah,
way
around the corner,
around the
right?
block, up the block. I mean, there
Yeah.
was like it could have been at least maybe 100 or so more people ahead of us, but we managed to get tickets and we were in the back, but we sat there and watched it, and like the whole movie experience was just amazing back then too,
Yeah.
because everybody was like into it, really into it,
Yeah, because
people still
there
get
wasn't much.
into it nowadays, but when it's opening night for a big blockbuster like that, was quite an experience. Yeah,
Yeah, man. I remember
because
when.
I actually
Yeah,
saw King Kong versus Godzilla on opening day when
on the
it came
theater.
out. But yeah, in the theater.
Oh, right
But
on.
but it was like it was cool. But I had to wear my mask, and
Mhm.
there was socially distanced seating,
Yeah,
and I enjoyed the movie, but definitely wasn't the same kind of movie experience
yeah.
as when I went to see Indiana Jones and the Temple of
Oh,
Doom.
for sure, man. Like it's a
Yeah.
different, it's different aesthetic. And
Oh
I
yeah.
remember when the George Lucas prequels to Star Wars came out, and I remember when the Return of the Sith came out. I was in my early 20s, and because we bought tickets for midnight, and my friend calls me on my phone. It's like the Nokia phone. It's
Uh-huh.
like, Christian, like what? It's like it was 12 in the afternoon, like it was 1 o'clock. It's like, and he's like all frantic. It's like, there's already a fucking line. I'm like, you gotta be over here, man. It's like, oh shit, I'm at work right now. I can't clock out. So as soon as
Yeah.
I got out of work, I went home, I took a shower, took a shit, and went fucking, stand in line and shit,
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like the spectacle of these guys that are all dressed like Vader, and they're all having lightsaber fights and stuff. It was fun. It was great.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
I don't
That's
see that
cool.
anymore. And it sucks.
Yeah, it's cool when the fanatics get into it.
Yeah, that's what I miss. Do people still do? Because I don't go to midnight premieres anymore because I'm older and I'll probably fall asleep watching the movie, and then the next day I have to go to work and I'm like, oh my god. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I went
people
to
still do
I
that.
went to
Do
the
people
midnight
still?
premiere of Phantom Menace, and I fell asleep during that
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah. I think the last time I did a midnight, uh, showing thing, I was for the Man of Steel.
Okay.
And yeah, that was the last midnight movie that I saw.
Yeah. I mean, I
And
don't know. Even if I'm tired, I don't normally fall asleep on a movie. So that kind of goes to show you how much I
yeah,
didn't like Phantom Menace.
yeah, yeah. Because of COVID, we were watching the prequels, and we started with Phantom Menace because going in order. And I was watching, I'm
Right.
like, this is terrible. I thought this would
Yeah.
age, because there's
Oh
some
my
movies that
God.
you
Yeah.
watch. It's like, oh, this is good. This is a good. But
I hate to talk bad
rewatching it.
about anybody's art, but I
Yeah,
mean, that was pretty horrible. I mean,
yeah,
the dialogue was just like, it was terrible. The
yeah,
storytelling was just awful. It was just
yeah.
bad. I mean, Lucas should have definitely had someone else do that, do
Yeah,
that movie,
with
write the story.
Jar
He should
Jar
have just sat
Binks.
back as the
Yeah,
executive producer or something.
absolutely. Absolutely, I totally agree with you because there was some serious moments in the Phantom Menace, and then Jar Jar Binks cuts in with his fucking comedy. I'm like, this is not appropriate right now. I'm like, he just took me out of the
Right,
story.
right,
Uh,
right.
but what I do enjoy watching right now, what we watched because of the pandemic last year was the Rebels and the Clone Wars, and those
Okay.
were great, man. Have you watched those series?
I liked Rogue One. I thought Rogue One
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
last of the Star Wars movies that came out, I really enjoyed that.
yeah. They're
Yeah,
pretty good. Rogue One was really sick. And
yeah.
I mean, I don't like the last one. What's it called? The last Skywalker, the Rise of Skywalker.
I
That was
like
okay.
that
That
one. I
was
like
all
that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
was
thought it was
okay. It
cool.
was
I thought it was cool that they brought back
Palpatine.
most of the main characters we know were in that movie in some shape or form.
Yeah,
So I really appreciated that. And then finding out in the end who Ray was
yeah,
related to was really cool. And
yeah. That was nice.
yeah,
I like.
I
I really
enjoyed
like.
it. I enjoyed that one.
I didn't watch that movie again because I wanted to check it out because I was in the movie theater and I like watching. I also like rechecking them out here in my home, my living room to get a
Okay.
different experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I enjoyed those movies. But a lot of people didn't like the last Jedi. I thought it was entertaining too. I mean, it wasn't
Yeah,
the
I
best
heard a
movie.
lot of bad things online and that kind of thing, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was nice.
It was
It was a good
like
story.
when I saw the movie, I commented on Facebook, it's like, this movie's pretty good. And then another writer hit me up on my comments, like, as a writer, I am disappointed that you like this movie. I'm
Oh my
like,
God.
fuck you. I'm like, who the fuck are you to tell me this? I'm
Oh
like,
man, that's cool. That's
yeah,
cool.
I
Yeah.
didn't chew him out or anything like that, but I'm like, this condescending prick. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just people they have to make you feel bad for liking things for some reason. It's a
Yeah. Some
movie.
people
Just
are like
relax.
that.
Yeah, and it's all subjective. But whatever.
It is.
But all those movies, like, I mean, I create not to be famous. I want people to enjoy my work. I want them
Yeah,
to
me too.
escape. I want them to feel the same emotions that I felt when I was creating these
Yeah.
stories. You know what I mean? Because it's just not.
Sure.
It's not a product, even though it is the business and it's an industry. It's a part of me, and I want them to feel, the laughter or cry at the moments that that are meant to be felt that way. And I want them to
Yeah.
connect. I want them to connect, and that's what I want to do with not only my writing and also this podcast. I want to connect with people, and
Nice.
yeah, it's all about connections, relationships, and that's what I want to do with my creative career. So yeah.
Go for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
What's
Sounds good.
what's your next project, man?
Next project is
Because I know you have a
eh,
kids book called the taco, like a taco Cinco de.
yeah, I came out with I released a taco book for
Yeah,
kids on Cinco de Mayo, and I'm really happy about that because we talk about in that I talk about all the different types of tacos there are, from asada to al pastor, pescado, and even vegan tacos. And at the
yeah,
end of the story too, I have a recipe for kids where it's like a gluten-free and a dairy-free recipe for tacos too. So that's cool, and it got nominated actually for International Latino Book Award. So I think I'll
man.
find out in a few months
Excellent.
whether it wins or not. Yeah, so I'm happy about that. So that was a kid's book, my first hardcover kids book that I released this Cinco de Mayo, and I have some other stuff in the works right now. I don't really like to talk about it until it's finished.
I
That's
see.
sort
No,
of
I
my
understand.
method as a creative person.
So
Mm.
for the stuff that's that's out right now, where can people find
Yeah.
it? The
Oh, okay.
Amazon
Definitely on Amazon. Yeah. My main award-winning novelette you can find on Amazon.
and
Yeah,
what's
it's
it
called
called?
the good, the bad, and the Chile.
Right on. There you go, you guys.
Yeah.
Check it out. And is that like, do you have like a website too, or is it just on Amazon?
It's just on Amazon right now. Usually, I may post little tidbits on Facebook. People can follow me on Facebook
Yeah.
and Instagram under Philip Victor. Yeah, usually I kind of give updates on that, and also events on Facebook and Instagram. Give updates on events that I'm going to be exhibiting at. Like next week, I'll be exhibiting at my first virtual con called Art and Art and Activism Con. It's being hosted by David Heredia, who's also a writer and a children's book illustrator. And so yeah, he's hosting that. So you could just follow
Yeah.
my Instagram and Facebook for more information
Oh,
on
for
that.
sure, for sure. And do you know when's the next time you're going to be at a physical Comic Con? Is that still like up in the air
Not
right
yet,
now?
but hopefully soon. Hopefully
Yeah.
soon. Yeah.
What was the last one that you did that before the shit hit the fan?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's been a while, huh?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
The last one I did, well, we did have a Latino Comic Expo in Long Beach.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the last ones that I did. Yeah.
Okay. I think
So maybe the next time they have another Latino Comic Expo, we could share a table again.
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah. I keep on saying that I'm gonna self-publish these 2 short stories next year. Like, I don't know, like I got some feedback recently, but I haven't gotten back to my story editor because we're doing 3 revisions, and she's gonna do the last revisions before I do the digital version and all. And when I finally send it to people to read it, like
Yeah.
So I want to print it out and all that stuff. And once I do, I would love to, have another table next to you and,
that'd be cool. Yeah.
That'll be excellent.
I really enjoy doing those shows because you get to meet the fans, face to face, and then also the whole camaraderie that's there with all the other authors and creators and artists and people exhibiting there is a lot of fun.
And okay, I just remembered a question. What is the worst advice anybody's given you in your writing or in your career as an entertainer? Has anybody ever given you like terrible advice?
Well,
yeah,
huh? I wouldn't say that. Well, when you had mentioned earlier about calling it a hobby, that wouldn't be advice, but I don't like that. I don't like that type of attitude toward my career as a writer, it being a hobby. Advice wise, I think someone once said to me that don't worry about getting your material out there. People will come to you. I don't think that's correct. You got to put your material out there. You got to promote yourself. I haven't got a whole lot of bad advice.
That's a pretty good one though. Yeah. Like, no, you have to hustle it because you gotta hustle it. You got to,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody's
you gotta be confident about your work and get it out there into people's hands so that they can appreciate it, not appreciate it, but just be able to be exposed to your material.
Yeah, because the more stuff you have, the more it's like, oh, he has like a collection. Like he's not just a one-hit wonder. He has
exactly. Too. Yeah, the more stuff you have out there, the less people think of you as like a dilettante. That you're doing it as a hobby. That you're committed to it, whether you're making money or not by it, but that you're being professional about it and committed to your craft.
And what's one advice that you could give somebody who wants to get into the comic book game or be a writer? Is there any advice that you give some young cats?
Yeah, definitely. Start creating with your own ideas, with your own concepts. If you get influenced by certain like characters that are in Marvel and DC, that's cool. And if you want to do some fan art, that's cool too. But I would definitely encourage people to just come up with their own ideas, come up with things that they won't have any problem with the copyright infringement or that kind of thing if they were to self-publish or put the material out there. Because if you do fan art, that's cool. But if you put it out there, you could get into legal trouble by the copyright owner of that fan art, you know? So try to come up with original concepts, original ideas, and you never know where it can go. I mean, look at like Ninja Turtles, you know, that definitely blew up, and you know the rest is history with that brand and that kind of thing. It went into toys and video games and movies and whatnot, and it just started from like an idea that somebody had on how they could be different and creative with a comic book character, you know.
He was selling those comic books in his garage. That's what
right. Yeah. So I would definitely say just start out creating your own things and get it out there so people can see. And that would be my advice for I guess anybody, whether it be comic books or screenwriting or whatever. You know, you just got to do it and get it out there. Yeah,
that's really good. That's really good advice, man.
Yeah.
So I reached the part of my show where I'm going to do a top 7, because every time I'm about to end the show, I'm going to do like a type of Letterman type of top 10 list. But I don't want to get sued. So I'm doing a top 7. So
top 7, okay.
That's a good number.
7 days of the week.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Sometimes they're jokes. Sometimes they're jokes. When I feel funny, I'll write some jokes. But sometimes they're lists, and we'll talk about it as we get to number 1. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So top 7 ways to get inspired to create, because you know the topic. Number 7, people watching, like eavesdropping. Do you do that?
Yeah.
Do you eavesdrop? Do you people watch?
Oh man, most definitely. Especially sometimes not even intentionally, but like I could be out shopping, I could be out doing things, and I'll hear a conversation someone's had, and something they say might interest me, and I'll put it in the story.
Yeah, I do that all the time. It's because I'm a quiet guy. Like at work or anywhere I go, I just just do my thing, and I have eyes and I have ears, so I'm watching people.
Yeah, why not put them to use? Yeah, for sure.
And when I was a kid, there's this mentally challenged person that always asked for money. I think he had like autism, and a lot of kids called him an ip, because every time he said ip, he would repeat it back. And I remember he also had an uncle. He treated him very mean. He was like at Lucky's. Remember Lucky's, the grocery store?
Yeah, I remember Lucky's.
He was his uncle snapped at him really bad, and I was a kid, and even though this person was an adult, he shrunk up like a child, and that stuck with me. And because of that, I wrote a story. I already wrote this story about this character with a mean uncle who has autism, and like from that I wrote the story. And it's because of unintentionally I just watched somebody, like his confrontation with his ugly uncle. So so people watch. It helps.
People watch, definitely. Yeah, do it.
Okay, number 6.
You can get.
Exactly. Number 6, stepping outside your comfort zone, because as humans, we're creatures of habit, so we try to stay in our comfort zone. But if you want to being older, I understand that I need to step out of my comfort zone to do different.
Yes.
So I could feel like something different, that experience something different, and that adds to the tools that when I'm writing. What's one thing that you stepped out of your comfort zone?
I would say like recently too, actually, as a matter of fact, because I love being an artist too, I started designing clothing, and I'm not really used to that at all. So I started up a clothing line for ladies called Lady Rainbow, and here's one of the pieces right here. So one of the tops.
Okay, and it's not like the first one. Yeah,
yeah, that's one of the first ones, and then another one right here. It has a little print.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Man, you designed that. That's pretty good.
So that was stepping out of my comfort zone, definitely, because it was something that I don't have any schooling in, but I just love doing it, and and it's been fun, you know. So I'm building that up. You can look it up on Lady Rainbow brand on Instagram and Facebook
Okay.
for to see some more of the pieces that I'm doing. So that's been a challenge, and
Yeah.
it's cool because it's like my creative juices are flowing, but just in a different
In a
fashion,
way.
you know.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying it very much.
Yeah, like what I'm doing outside my comfort zone is I started doing stand up.
Okay.
Because it was my second time. Because like when I started doing it, the pandemic hit and everything was shut down. So I was able to do it one time in January in 2020 before
Yeah.
everything was locked
Okay.
down in March. Because my plan
Yeah.
was to do it every month, and then the people were doing it on Zoom. But since I'm just starting out, I need to be like in the stage. I need to do it like the way it's supposed to be done, and this now with everything opening up, I found a place in Melrose that they had it. They had a live, it was with other comics though.
Okay, like open mic or something?
Yeah, it was open mic, but nonetheless, I was still terrified. I was telling my mom, I was like, I feel like throwing up and blah blah. And then my mom was all like, well, why are you doing this? So I'm like, because I want to make people laugh.
Yeah, sure. Why
But,
not? Yeah, you just got to get over that experience, those nerves. I'm sure everybody goes through it, but that's good that to get out there and stand up in front of people and do your
because
thing.
I never would do that. But like my friend, he said like, you're funny, you should do stand up. Like, nah, should I do it? I'm like, nah, fuck it,
Why
because
not?
in the end,
Go
like,
for it, man. Yeah.
Stand up is still writing. You're writing a story, but there's
Sure.
punchlines
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
So I've been watching like a lot of stand up comedians lately at work because I have the ability to listen to podcasts.
Okay.
And I listen to Bill Burr and Tom Segura and Joey Diaz and it's like
I'm a big Dave Chappelle fan, and man,
Dave
that dude
Chappelle, of course,
watching stand up is really impressive, And like you said, it's storytelling. He tells a lot of good stories. They're really funny. The punchlines work. It's intelligent humor. You could do a whole lot as a comic. Yeah, so that's good. I wish you a lot of luck doing that.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean,
yeah,
I don't want to be like, I don't know. I'm just doing it just to see. I have no like. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get an agent, and I'm gonna get a TV show. Well, like, nah,
okay,
I'm just
you never know. You never know.
it.
Starting out, you never know.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. But
let's see.
The second time I did it, it was pretty good. Like, I mean, there were some there were some blank stares. But, I did make some people laugh. I made some people laugh, so it's working.
You got to be willing to bomb sometimes.
Yeah,
but hopefully you don't.
Game.
Yeah, it's part of the game. Yeah, part of the game. Exactly.
Okay. Well, number 5, watching a random movie or reading a random book that you normally won't read is another way to get inspired.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Is there like a movie that you had like, it's like, oh, that movie looks dumb, and then when you start watching, it's like, oh, this is pretty good.
As a matter of fact, there was recently I watched my first Tamil. This is from India movie called Bahubali. They have a part 1 and a part 2. And the funny thing is my ancestry comes from that part of India.
Okay.
Because my mother is from Trinidad, so her ancestors come from the southern part of India. And I saw on Netflix this heroic epic called Bahubali, and I was like, "What is this?" I'm not used to watching Indian movies. The Indian movies that I've seen in the past was mostly were musicals, and I like musicals, but it's not really my thing. But I said, you know what? Let me check it out. When I watched it, oh my God, I was blown away. It was just, I love that movie. It was almost like a religious experience. And it was also connecting to me with a culture that I had been separated from for many years. On my mother's side of the family. And the sequel was great too. So that was a case where I watched something as far as a movie goes, where normally I wouldn't have watched maybe that movie. But when I did, I'm glad I kind of took a detour and watched it, because it had an impact on me, a nice positive impact too. As a matter of fact, and then I went over to my mom's place and I watched it with her because I wanted her to see it too. So it brought me even closer with my mom too. So it was
that's
cool.
Good, man.
Yeah.
Like I think because I like, sometimes I like, because I watched this movie called Saving Private Perez, and it was on Netflix for a while, and it wasn't a movie that I normally would watch because it just, you judge a book by its cover, and the name just kind of looked dumb, It's like it was a riff from Saving Private Ryan, But I checked it out because I wanted to I wanted to again step out of my comfort zone. I wanted to try something new. I watched it, and I ended up crying at the end of the movie
Wow.
because it's the story. It's a story about it's a movie shot in Spanish, and
Okay.
the character has to find his brother who joined the military, and he got held up by some terrorists in Iraq. So
Mm.
this character is like a type of drug dealer. So he gets some people to go with him to find his brother, even though they fight a lot. And it was really entertaining. And by the end of the movie,
Mm.
he finally got his brother back, and they're fighting like in a barbecue. And I got really touched because like I'm like having a brother, you fight with them and then you make up. I for sure if
Yeah,
my
yeah.
over there like kidnapped, I would try to, if I had the resources, I would look for him. And
Uh-huh.
it resonated with me. And
Nice.
so that's, yes, watch movies that you normally won't watch.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
for sure. I haven't seen that one, but I did actually once see a Korean movie that was like sort of inspired by a Saving Private Ryan. Also, now that you mention it, it was called, I believe, Taegugi, and that was like I said, Korean. It was all in Korean with English subtitles, and it was very touching too. I got teary eyed at the end of the
mm,
movie because it was a story about two brothers too. One of them went over to North Korea. One was in South Korea, and it was during the time of the war where the
yeah,
North and South was that civil war going on, and so it was a very emotional story and well told.
yeah,
And I normally wouldn't see a Korean movie, so it's always cool to open yourself up to
absolutely,
foreign cinema because people in other countries also have maybe a different perspective of looking at things, a different religious belief, and sometimes that comes out in the cinema that they make, and it's kind of cool because then it kind of gets you out of your normal comfort zone, your normal way of thinking here in the States.
absolutely. It broadens your horizon, and that helps when you want to write.
Yeah, definitely broaden your horizons. Right on. Yeah.
Let's see, a number four, which I guess is sort of like number five, but whatever. It's watching documentaries.
Hmm.
Yeah, watching documentaries are definitely inspiring, man. Have you watched the Night Stalker one on Netflix?
I
That's really
have
good.
not yet. No, I
It's
have
really good,
not. I
man.
remember when that took place. Though I was in
Yeah,
elementary school in California. I had just moved out here from New York, and I remember it being all over the news and that kind of thing. But
yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, I need to watch it. I watch a few documentaries. On my Netflix list is that one, The Octopus Teacher. I think it won an Academy Award. My
Oh,
teacher, the octopus, or something like that.
I never heard of it, but it's on Netflix,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's on my to watch list.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then a lot of times I watch documentaries on PBS, on KCET. I really
Okay.
enjoy theirs. Usually, like if there's like just recently in February for Black History Month, they had a lot of good documentaries. But yeah, documentaries are great too because you learn from them, and then even if you're writing fiction, you could
Mm,
always incorporate that into your story.
absolutely. Like
Yeah.
I got into this documentary called Missing 411, and it's about
Mm.
people who get lost in national forests. It's like the world just swallowed them up. Like they'll be hiking with a family, and then they would turn a corner, and then like Junior just disappears, and there's no way.
Oh
There's no
wow.
way. There's no way. Like where did he go? Like there's nowhere to hide.
Oh.
It's just like he got plucked out of the earth, and then they sent out the dogs to look for them, and then no scent, and then later they would find the remains like in the area where they already searched, and it's
Oh.
crazy. Like yeah, I love watching paranormal documentaries. That's like my thing.
That reminds me of what I love is watching Ancient Aliens on the
Yo,
History
I love
Channel.
that
That's
shit,
the
man.
I
Yeah,
love that stuff. I wonder if
yeah. Even if it's
John
far fetched,
I
I
wonder
just
if
find it entertaining. Yeah.
John Duran is out there if he's watching Ancient Aliens.
Oh yeah, John Lance,
John Lance,
John Lance
yeah,
Durant.
yeah,
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 yeah.
that's right.
He watched that shit. He's my. We watch this stuff together. We
Shout
love
out to
those stuff.
John. Yeah,
Yeah,
shout out to John.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
let
And
him
the
know, man.
UFOs. I hope no UFOs abduct that dude, man.
Oh shit, he wouldn't like that, man. He tells me he's terrified about meeting an alien.
I
He's
know,
like,
huh? But who knows? They may be walking around amongst us.
yeah,
You don't know. I've been watching Ancient Aliens religiously on Friday nights now for a while, and there's so many theories out there, and it's
yeah,
just mind-boggling.
yeah. Like it definitely like gives you the imagination. Gives like you like the inspiration to
Yeah.
develop a story. And I like it. I mean, I hope someday I have enough money to visit ancient Egypt and like the ancient ruins and all that stuff, I
Oh
would
yeah,
love
me
to do
too,
that.
me
You
too.
know.
Yeah, yeah, that
Okay,
would be great.
that's this leads us to my next one. Outdoor
Mhm.
activities such as hiking or going to the museum, which I mean
Sure.
that's inspiring watching, especially going to the museum because you look at art, artifacts and artwork that like it's like more than 100 years old, and it's kind of like, wow, this piece of art lasted longer than the artist, and people are, here we are,
Good point.
2020,
Good point.
yeah,
Yeah, most
it lasts
definitely.
forever.
Yes,
And that's
yes, most
inspiring, you know what I
definitely.
mean? Like for something to last that long, it has to hit a nerve for it to be
Hmm.
still circulated and all that. You know, it sucks that that someday we're gonna pass away, and that's why I want to leave some kind of impact with whatever I create.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
most
it's a
definitely.
downer,
Yeah.
but it's reality.
It's
But yeah,
reality.
okay.
That's right.
Number two, and this is just for me, smoking weed. Smoking weed helps me get inspired.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you smoke? Do you
I
smoke
don't. I
before you
don't.
write?
To be honest with you, I've never smoked weed. I've never done
Um,
any type of street drugs.
okay.
But I get inspired by reading and
Yeah.
watching movies, reading mythology, reading comic books and stuff like that. But I
Now
mean,
when
to each his own.
yeah.
To each his own. I'm not. I don't like to condone drug usage.
Mhm.
I grew up in the area of say no to drugs and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Just say no.
even though I'm a big Cypress Hill fan, it's funny. I'm a big Cypress Hill fan, but I never smoked weed. So it's
Crazy.
possible. It's possible
Yeah.
to coexist.
Right on, man. You're a testament to that.
Yeah.
How about drinking? Do you drink like I don't know,
I
like a
don't. I
beer?
don't. I don't anymore.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I used to occasionally when I went to a club or at a party, but I'm not a drinker and I'm not a
Okay.
smoker. So
Okay.
I try
Right
to
on.
be on top of my diet
Excellent, man.
now, and yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
need I
and,
need to kick
and
back because
I
last
feel
night.
better that way.
That's good, man,
Yeah,
because it's healthy living, healthy, thinking clearly.
definitely,
That's why I need to
definitely.
get back on the
And
ball
like we're
too.
talking about writing too, for me, the clearer my head is, the more focused I can be
Yes,
on getting my writing done and being creative. And by living healthy, living ethically, that definitely helps.
absolutely, I agree.
Mhm.
But I do like smoking weed.
Okay,
Just gotta
okay.
let it know, man. Okay. Number one. The number one thing that helps me or that helps anyone get inspired for me is
Mm.
music. I listen to music. Like I
Me
get
too. Me
inspired.
too.
That
Me too.
yeah.
As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
I've actually done some executive production in the music business.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, for a friend of mine, he does a rap in Spanish. I executive produced some music for him, and then for a
Okay.
couple of my books too. I have worked on a soundtrack for music to accompany my story. And
Nice.
I did that with The Good, the Bad, and the Chili. And I'm currently working on a soundtrack right now for another book called The Magic Guitar that I'm writing.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I love music. As the writing process goes, music definitely helps me to get into a mood. And then I
Yes.
also like working in music as well.
See, I wish I had the talent to play the guitar, the piano, or I just don't have it. Like I don't have that's it's supposed to be in like in your blood. You know what I mean? Because
Right,
I
right.
just it's done me.
Yeah,
Like I
me
noticed
too,
that
me too. I'm
I
with you,
just don't
man.
have it.
I wish I did. I don't play an instrument myself, but I have an ear for music. I know what I like. I know I kind of have an idea what sounds good and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So with that, I do my executive
Do you think that's
production.
in your genetics, like no, like music? Because the reason I'm saying this because I have a friend, his whole
Mm,
family they're musicians. Like he knows
mm.
how to play the piano. His brother he's in the band, and his daughter she's just sat like she knows how to play the piano, and she's just like a little girl. So it's
Yeah,
like it has
yeah.
to be genetic. So
It could be. I mean,
it could
you
be,
never
it
know.
could be, yeah,
I'm the type of person who believes in reincarnation too.
mm,
So, like, you never know what they might have done in a past life, what kind of famous musician they might have been, or a
yeah,
talented artist, or that kind of thing. And some of those skills can come back when they're, reborn. But I think definitely being in an environment where your family is nurturing you, or you have like a father or mother who does that type of art that you also want to do, I'm sure that definitely helps as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, and for me, like for music, the reason I write stories is because like I see a movie trailer in my head, and I'm trying to figure out like what's going on, like how do I get there? You know what I mean? Feeling
Okay.
the emotions of a movie trailer. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that's what helps me develop my stories. I get so obsessed
Okay.
with the story that
Yeah.
that the song that kickstarted that idea, I would burn it out. I would listen to it over and over and over again until I know everything about it. You know. So it's
Oh,
something
okay.
that's
Yeah.
stuck with me since I was a kid all the way until now. Like it's like it's trippy,
Yeah.
you know. It's just
Yeah, like I'm also working on a story about a luchador,
uh
and when I hear that song Barracuda by Heart, I don't know if
Barracuda.
you're familiar with that song.
I think I am. Yeah,
I gotta play it over and over again because it gets me jazzed and juiced
yeah,
when I'm writing this story about the luchador. So
yeah. I get it, man.
when I was writing my novelette too, I would listen to this song "You Can't Get the Best of Me" by Cypress Hill, and I would listen to that on repeat too, because specifically for a scene that I was writing where there's like a
Yeah,
fight scene at the end,
and you
and
see it.
that
Yeah,
song just is just really got me juiced up to
absolutely.
writing
That's cool,
that
man.
scene. Yeah.
It's cool to talk to somebody who we could get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
I don't have
music is
yeah,
definitely an important part of life as well as the creative process.
absolutely. Well, thanks for for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. We had a
Yeah,
great
sure. Thanks
conversation. You know what I mean?
for
Thanks for
having me. Yeah, your
yeah, man. It
questions
was a
are
great
really good.
conversation. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. And hopefully,
Yeah.
if you're down to come down for like another topic, I would love to have you on again.
Cool. Thanks a lot. I
Yeah, man.
would. I would. That'd be
Well,
fun.
until next time, before we go, is there like, do you want to plug anything before we say goodbye to you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me, and check out the Art and Activism Con next week. I
Okay.
believe it starts on April 28th, and you can get tickets through David Heredia at Heroes of Color. If you look him up on Instagram, or check out my Instagram and Facebook, and I could kind of direct you in that direction for that con. And then other than that, everybody, I hope you're staying safe. If you're pro vaccines, I hope you're getting vaccinated. If not, stay in your house, stay away from
Yeah.
me, because
Yeah. Wear a
I
damn
got my
mask.
2 Moderna vaccines, and I'm ready to get back out into the
I
world
know,
and get
man.
things going again,
Cool.
But I'm still wearing my mask and
Yeah.
practicing social distancing until enough people on the planet get vaccinated.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping everybody stays safe out there, and
Excellent.
and pursues their writing goals and pursues their artistic goals, and makes their dreams come true.
Right on, bro. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I'll hit you up later, but
for
see you,
sure.
bro.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
All right. Well, folks, thank you for joining us tonight to watch Casually Christian. I want to thank Emmanuel for producing this show. And if you want to produce your own podcast talk show, showcase your concert or your church event, please hit up his streaming service at Livestream My Event. And well, until next time, folks, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a good week, okay? Oh, and please like and subscribe. Bye, guys.